Hold on 1 second, guys. Happy Friday. Well, so let me get this drink real quick. Let me get this drink. Yes, yes. Woo! There we go. These drinks were not warm. Hold on, let me come on camera. Got what my man Kwame Brown said. Got my hater blockers on today, guys. Got my shades on. Throw that over there. Happy Friday. Hope everybody's having a great day today. The weekend, the weather finally cooled down too. Thank gosh. Let me tell you, it was hotter than a sauna out there. Man, it was drenched in sweat. When I was out there working out, riding the bike, playing basketball, doing weights, man, I was just drenched in sweat. By the way, if you ever see me out on the bike, that's what I look like. I got my shades on, I got my cap on. I'll be out there on my bike. I just be cruising on down the road. Like I don't see nobody. I don't see nothing. Well, obviously traffic, of course. I don't get hit, but that's why I did. I put my tunes on, got my shades on, my hat, and I just be going on down the road cruising. That's what I do, man. But yeah. So I appreciate you guys for tuning in today. Like I said, let's have a good Friday today. Let me take these off. No, we don't need these no more. Unless you guys want me to put them back on. But hope everybody's having a good day today. Like I said, and yeah, congrats to the Golden State Warriors. They won last night. They were just a better team. Boston, I don't know what the hell that was. That was, oh boy. But yeah, we'll just leave it at that. But shout out to Golden State. Shout out to Andrew Wiggins. I'm really impressed with Andrew Wiggins. I think what a great story that was. I mean, Andrew, he's always scored the ball really well in his career. Number 1 overall pick. Obviously, was traded right away because that's when LeBron came back to the Cavs, and so they traded him for Kevin Love, which I thought was the right move. And so, uh, you know, at that time was the right move. But Andrew Wiggins, man, he was all over Jason Tatum, locking them up on defense, scoring the ball on offense, getting rebounds, hustling all over the court, using his freakish athleticism. And so, shout out to Andrew Wiggins, probably the second best player in the series outside of Steph, I think. So, especially at least for the Warriors, there's no championship without Andrew Wiggins, that's for sure. So, that's that. So, the season's over with. Now we look forward to the draft next week. And we also, uh, who knows what big moves are coming this summer. Some rumors about some I'm hearing. But just stay tuned because there might be some big things happening this summer in the NBA, guys. Some things that might blow people's minds. So you never know. And some of the rumors out there right now are pretty wild. So just stay tuned. But the reason why I'm up here today is for a certain topic that is I'm going through my own life right now, guys. And guys, just be honest. I wasn't even planning on doing this live today, but it's been kind of it's been a up and down week for me. I've had some things going on in my own personal life, privately. So I've been kind of not say down, a little down, just kind of up and down, just kind of going through it, but just allowing myself just to be and just uh, take it day by day, and it's all I can do. But with that, there is challenges. There is always a mental obstacle, I guess you could say. Where I mean, what I mean by that is, whenever you're vulnerable, you're kind of vulnerable, or you feel vulnerable. You're tired, you're a little weak, you're fatigued, you're just kind of down mentally, whatever, spiritually, emotionally, physically. It's your awareness to everything and how you're going to respond is very key. And so for me, guys, I watched the sermon today actually, and I said, well, as soon as I watched it, I said, you know what, I'm going to come on and share this because one thing I've learned from Tony Evans is, and I've seen this work in my own life, is whenever you're feeling a little down, and guys, I don't want to say like I'm like down. I'm not down. But, I've had some changes going on, so I'm a little uneasy. I'll just be honest, a little uneasy. And, that's why I'm here talking to you guys because that's why it's called The Real. I want to relate whatever I'm going on in my life to relate to you guys because I'm sure there's other people right now who are going maybe through similar things. And so, with that, I listened to this sermon today. I found, excuse me, whoo, so I got my drink. Those allergies are bad today, guys. I don't know. The weather dropped and everything just went. Yeah, I mean, it's not. It's a rough day in the science department, but you know, back to what I was saying though. Uh, one thing I learned from Tony is, whenever you're feeling a little down, or you're going through something, or you're a little overwhelmed, talk more about God. And I've done that before in my own life. I learned that 2 months ago. I started applying it more privately, and I've done it a lot of times in these podcasts. Guys, a lot of these podcasts, these episodes I'm doing, it's through my own experience or what I'm going through right now. And so that's why I'm able to come up with some of these topics and share these resources that's helped me to share with you guys. Because I think when you're feeling down, look to the Lord, and when talk about God. Just talk about God. Talk about all the great things He's doing. Don't. It's a focus thing. It's like the tool I taught you. I shared you guys that I learned from Dr. Scott Symington. I can't even talk. 2-screen method, and the 2-screen method. You got that side screen that's trying to keep you focused on the negative or what you think is negative, or just the bad movies playing in your head, and trying to keep you really just take you down a spiral towards, a lot of times for people like anxiety and panic, you start to spiral out of control. So, but there's 2 ways to anchor yourself: mindfulness and a loving action to anchor yourself back towards the front screen. And so for me, doing a lot of these podcasts, a lot of times it's great mindfulness for me, but also a loving action in a way too, because there's people that, I just come up here and share this. Wherever it goes, it goes. And so when people have reached out to me and told me how I've helped them, guys, some of these stories I've heard, there's people I never met in my life that are telling people that know me, that are close to me, like, hey, I saw your, like for one instance, I'll give you an example. There was this, when I dropped that first episode all the way back in April, it was really raw. I just came up here and I just let it all out after 6-7 years. Didn't mean to say that. It sounded like that. My bad. But anyways, yeah, 6-7 years. Oh gosh. But anyways, after 6-7 years, okay, now I can talk. My voice is raspy, guys. That's why I'm like, when I'm talking, I'm just kind of like, whoa. But anyways, back to the story. When I put that video out, it reached a young man, probably about, I don't say young man, I'm talking like I'm old. He's younger though. He's about his 30 years. He's in his 30s. I think he's around mid 30s, which is still relatively young. And I guess for years, there was always kind of like a disconnect between him and his mother, where when he was younger, he got involved in some things. No, not a disconnect per se. When he was younger, around 18, 19 years old, he, or probably in his teenage years, I'm trying to remember the story because I've heard a couple of different stories. So when he was in his teenage years, he got involved in some bad things. He was looking at some bad things, got involved in some kind of demonic things, I think with like pornography and stuff like that. And for a while, he got away from it. But he kind of hid it for years. He did some things he wished he didn't do. He didn't want to do, and it just haunted him for years. And I guess when he saw my initial show, he something compelled him to sit down and finally tell his mom. And his mom said she had kind of known for a while back then what was going on. She could see he was changing, but something made him years later finally just get it off his chest. And it just changed everything for him. It really helped him a lot. And it helped the relationship to him and his mother probably became closer. Just, from that point on, you just take off, you just grow. Just all that burden you carried all those years, you finally let it go. And so, but he said the reason why he did that is because of seeing my show, for that episode. And I remember when I heard that, guys, I'm gonna be honest, it was kind of weird. It was a little weird because it's kind of like, really? Just little old me, what I'm doing. But nah, and then I thought about, you know what? It ain't me, it's God. I just thank God. Thank you for using me to share my story to help somebody else. And so, same thing with today. that's why I'm up here now, because, like I said, I'm kind of going through it this week a little bit, but I saw a couple things. This sermon today I'm going to share talks about faith, because when you're in a battle, when you're in a situation, it's your faith. A lot of times it's your faith, but with faith, there's also steps. You can have all the faith in the world, but faith with action is the key. And so, for me this week, I've kind of reflected a lot too. Where am I going to go? Not where I'm going to go, but also I'm focusing on all the great things I've been doing. So I'm doing a lot of great things. My own private life, just taking steps further and further in my journey. But also, you know, well, what do I want to do more of? What do I want? And what do what are things I enjoy? What more fun do I want? I'm going to go chase those things. Now, it could be a slower process, step by step, but uh, putting my faith into action. And that's why I'm sharing this with you guys, because we can go through this together. If you're out there right now, maybe in a similar situation or different, whatever situation you're in, wherever you are, you know, yes, we do the work for ourselves, but me sharing this with you guys, I want to let you guys know, hey, if you're going through something too, we can all go through this together. That's what we're all here for. That's what we're supposed to do. That's what human beings are supposed to do. And so, it's a good drink. It just propelled, by the way. The bottle was warm, so I had to put it in ice cold and some ice cubes. But anyways, yeah, man. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna come up here today. I'm gonna share this sermon. Now, the first topic, this sermon is mainly about faith, but he does touch on some type of mental imagery in the beginning. And the reason why I bring up mental imagery is important because, like I talked about, when you're going through something, it's very easy, especially as an anxiety and panic. If you have that really bad, if you have a disorder, it's very easy to, even without that, anybody, it's very easy to focus on something and run movies in your head. And a lot of times those movies are not positive. You're not envisioning yourself, the best case scenario all the time. You're always envisioning the worst case scenario of a fear you think of something. You have a fear of something happening to you, right? And this has happened to me a lot. It still does, and it will always happen. You're always going to have that fear within you. It's built in you, the fight or flight, but it's how you respond to it and how you build a relationship with it, right? And so today, I'm only going to share about 20 minutes or so of this. I don't want to do the whole 40 minutes, but if you guys want to check out the whole sermon, it's Dr. Tony Evans, Overpowering Satan's Strategy Through Faith. And so I listened to this earlier, and like always, I'm going to play the video. I'll go off screen. But here at a certain point, I'll stop, give a little commentary, and kind of reflect on it more. But other than that, man, I wanted to share this with you guys. Just 20 minutes here in this sermon, because it's very powerful, and I think it's going to help. It's a good reminder for all of us, and especially for myself. And so, yeah, let's just get to it.
It's consistent with faith. Faith is acting on the truth, whether I feel the truth or not, whether I like the truth or not, whether I agree with the truth or not. Faith is acting on it. So you can feel faithish and be faithless. You go to the movie, it's a horror flick. It's a horror flick. You know those monsters aren't real. You know that. You know the zombies coming out of the grave aren't real. Yet you're sitting there, covering your eyes, can't sleep because you remember the show, and you know it's not real. You know that. You knew it before you went in. You knew it while you were watching it. You knew it when you left, and you're still all shook up. That is because the masters of the media so constructed the lie of the horror film to make you feel like it was true, even though intellectually you knew none of that was real. But they manipulated it so and made it seem so real that it governed your feelings. You will never overcome the movie until your mind overcomes your emotions.
That's a very, very good key point right off the bat there, guys. You will never overcome the movie until your mind has overcome the emotions. And so, what does that mean? I view it as, for me personally, allow myself to feel whatever I feel, but I'm not going to judge these emotions. These emotions are just feelings. Their feelings are just feelings. I'm not going to let them control me. They're not going to dictate what I do. These are just messages from your body. Your body's trying to send you a signal of something. Maybe you're in a similar situation you were in the past, and you're in that type of situation again. Now your body's sending you the defense mechanism, the signals, the warning signs, right? Maybe you're in an uncomfortable situation, you're in something new. It's all the kind of the same. And so, do you allow your emotions to dictate what you do? Or are you going to allow yourself to just crumble and break down and just lose it? Or are you going to gather yourself and realize, okay, I know what this is, but I'm going to uh, maintain myself. I know what these are. I know what these messages are. I know what these feelings are. I know what these symptoms are. And so with that, it's very good that you have like a mental clarity almost. And that's, to me, that's getting control of your mind over your emotions. But also it's the faith, it's the biggest step, which is, your connection with God, most importantly. And so to me, that's a very key point there. I think that's step one of this. So let's get back to it. If I can find it. Oh, here we go.
Because your emotions are controlling you based on a lie that the movie perpetuated to you. And as long as they can keep the lie in your mind, they can keep you up at night and you're being kept up by something you knew wasn't true. When we allow faith to be defined by feelings, we will always be confused. So let's put faith in the objective place where it belongs. I love this. I love this story in Luke 5. Jesus asked Peter, Peter, have you caught anything yet? Peter said, no, we haven't caught anything yet. Jesus says, Peter, why don't you cast your net on the other side? Peter says, Jesus, let me help you here. You stick with preaching. I've been fishing all my life. This is the Zebedee Corporation, and we know fish, you know sermons. He seeks then to instruct Jesus on how fishing works. Jesus, point number one, we have been fishing all night. Okay, so let's get this straight. For 12 hours, we have been out there fishing. They are not biting. So for you to ask us to throw the net in doesn't make sense. Problem number two, we're in shallow water now. We're about to come in. We are not in the place where fish bite. So we've given the time, we've given the expertise, we've studied in school the location, we've got history in this company, we got all this stuff going for us. So Jesus, stick to preaching. We know fish. Jesus says, will you just cast the net?
Now, I want to stop. This is a good example here. Notice their initial response. We can handle this on our own. So they're trying to basically logically think it out on their own and cope. Basically, it's they're not asking the healer for healing. We got this all figured out. We can handle it. Jesus, you stick to what you do is preaching. We're going to stick to what we think we're experts in. Well, let's see what happens.
On the other side, Peter doesn't feel like it makes sense. His history says it doesn't make sense. His perspective, his company, none of this makes sense. But then he says, but at your word, just because you said it, even though I don't kind of think you know what you're talking about, but because you said it, I'm going to act on what you said, even though my perspective doesn't agree with what you said. I'm going to act. And he threw the net on the other side. When he threw the net on the other side, he got the biggest catch of his fisherman life. It said he got so much catch of fish that it dragged the boat down and the boat was about to sink. He could now build a condo on the Galilee River. He caught so much fish. He discovered on that day a principle of faith that if you and I would ever discover it, it would be transforming in my life. In spite of what I learned, in spite of what my history is, in spite of what my background says, in spite of my education, in spite of all the stuff I have accumulated, in spite of my own perception of my own natural brilliance, if I would simply do what he says, I would discover there is a lot more to this than I ever knew.
Woo! Man, that's a great point there. And guys, this is something I have to stay focused on, right? Especially recently, just every day. Always stay focused on this. Is I always think like, where does my focus go, right? And so, am I focusing on the illusions in my mind's trying to get me to focus on, or am I focusing on where I am, what's truth? Well, how do I know what's truth? Well, I've seen it happen in my past. All the times where I thought I was too overwhelmed, or hell, at times you think you weren't even going to make it. You know, especially with panic attacks. There's times like, oh, this is the one. This one's going to get me, and they never do. Your worst fear never happens. And so every time I was in an obstacle or a situation, God always pulled me through. And not only did He pull me through, it was a little better than I even thought it would be. He made ways for me. He gave me a guidance, but also the assistance I needed in those situations as well. And so, I try to stay focused on that because I focus on, hey, you know what? I went through all that and I did, and I'm still here. I'm still standing. Uh, God never failed me, and He never will. He's a lot of times he's just waiting on us, and that's what Tony's really getting into too. Is he's just waiting on us to take the steps and show Him your belief. And sometimes it's not easy to do. We get caught. We're human beings. We get caught in moments. We get caught with our emotions, situations. But when you get in a certain situation, what's the first thing you look to? And for a lot of people, it may not be. We don't always think to God first. We always try to think, oh man, what's going on? What can I do to stop this personally? But what can I do through God? What is God going to use me? I know, how is God going to help me through this situation? You look to God for the guidance, and He will guide you. God, I will submit my will to you. Whatever your will is, just allow it to be done, God. Just give me everything I need to get through it. And He will. But a lot of times we don't do that. We look to solve everything on our own. We've seen this recently in our own society. Look around at society. How many people do we know on TV? Look at the messaging they're putting out there. Everything's solved on your own. We got it all figured out. We had a guy on a very mainstream news channel a couple years ago, whatever it was, recently say, we don't need help from above. Oh, really? And didn't go very far, did it? It never does. We can't. We're human beings. We're flawed. Nobody on this earth, I don't care how much money you have, how much power you have, how much fame you think you have, or whatever you think you have, nothing compares to the Lord. And at the end of the day, we're all going to the same place. You're either going to heaven or you're going to hell. We're all on this boat together. So, where does your focus go? Let's get back to the video.
Because I would discover my finiteness and I would discover His infiniteness. I would discover, see, one of the things that's keeping us from experiencing God is we know too much. We know too much. If we were half as educated in the Word as we were in the world, we'd be a lot further. We want a master's degree in our subject, but we want to be dropouts in Scripture. And we wonder why nothing's working, because we don't know enough truth to have faith in it. Faith is acting on the truth. which means I want to know the truth so I can act on it, which exhibits faith so that I can see God move. Now, let me explain something now. Faith does not make God move. Let's get this straight. Because if you believe faith makes God move, then you're going to be looking for more faith. You don't need more faith. You have if you're a Christian, you have all the faith you're ever going to need for anything God's going to do with you. Let me help you now. Oh, God's trying to increase my faith. No, he's not. He's trying to increase your knowledge, but you've got plenty of faith. Because Jesus said, if you have faith the grain of a mustard seed, you can move mountains. In other words, a little dab will do you. You don't need more faith. You need more truth. Because if you put a little bit of faith in a whole bunch of truth, that's all you need. Faith does not get God to move. All faith does is access what God has already done. Faith is the point of access, not the point of power. The power is in what God has already done.
Let me skip through this, guys. But he's making a great point because he always makes great points. But yeah, you can have faith as small as a mustard seed, but faith you got to have action with the faith. I could sit around all day and say, "Oh, I feel great. I'm doing this. I feel like this. I feel like that." It's just a bunch of words. You got to have action. You got to have movement behind the words, and that's a lot of people do nowadays, especially society. It's a lot of talking, not a lot of action. And so, yeah, you got to have God's waiting for you. And like I said, guys, this applies to me as well. For a lot of times, for years, I was putting this podcast off. I was putting a lot of things off. But now I've started to, I got to a point where I said, when it's enough. I've hit rock bottom. I don't want to accept this anymore. So for me, it was enough. Like the pain was enough. And so being just completely honest with people and being honest with myself, more importantly, but also just whatever I feel, I just push through it and just, it's never as bad as I think it is. But also, it's like that first episode. I told you guys that story earlier about the person that was just one person, but what an incredible story. They carried something out for 20 years, and just because of my video, they came, not because of me, but what I did challenged them to kind of do the same thing. And so, but that video would never happen if I didn't allow God to move through me, work through me. And, that week up until that episode, like I talked about many times, I got pushed to the max. That's what it felt like. I got to the point where I said, you know what? I got to do what God wants you to do because I could feel it. And I'm just going to follow through. And whatever happens, happens. I know He won't give me more than I can. He will never give me more than I can handle, just like it says. And so, but anyways, that was a little rant there. But good points, though. But let's get back to the video.
When he deposited the divine life within you in seed form, as the knowledge of God enters into that seed expands, and all you're doing with faith is withdrawing what grace has already put on deposit. So stop looking for more faith. You don't need more faith. The moment you act on what God says, that's all the faith you need. You got plenty of faith. So you got all the faith you need. Whatever growth your faith needs, it will get from the action you take, not by trying to conjure up more faith, not by trying to whip it up, just trying to whip up faith. When really all you're doing is whipping up emotion. You're not whipping up faith. He says, I want you to have the shield of faith. Faith is your access point, Romans chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. He says faith gives you access to grace, and grace is where God has deposited everything he's going to do for you. Everything God is ever going to do for you, he's already done. He can't do anything more. So even when you say, God bless me, it's kind of we understand what each other means, but all the blessings he's ever going to give you, he's already given you. There's nothing new he can do for you. Your problem, my problem is withdrawing it, not getting it. It's already given. Faith withdraws it. So here it is. Grace puts on deposit all of God's goodness on your behalf. Faith accesses the deposits. Work proves you're exhibiting faith. Work proves you're exhibiting faith. Faith access grace. Grace has on deposit what you're looking for. Works don't get grace, because once you attach works to grace, it's no longer grace. Romans 11:6 says, once it's of works, it's no longer of grace. So works don't give you grace. Works just access faith, and faith accesses grace.
I gotta write that down. Hope you guys write it down with me. So works accesses, accesses faith, faith accesses grace. Gotta write that down. Gotta look at it every day. No, that's what I'm doing right now. Put in my notes. Let's get back to this video. That's a great point.
That's how it flows. So he says, put on the shield, this covering called faith. Faith is a law, Romans 3:27 says. It's a rule whereby you operate. He says you're not only supposed to get saved by faith, he says in Romans 1, you're supposed to live by faith. In other words, this is supposed to be the way you flow. You're supposed to have a faith walk. That's why the Bible calls it walking by faith. You're supposed to have a flow faith. It's supposed to be the way it's supposed to be your groove. It's supposed to be your zone. It's supposed to be your modus operandi. But it must be linked to truth. Now here it is. Please notice this. I'm explaining faith. Faith, if you want it to be real, watch this now, cannot be limited to your five senses. If you limit faith to your five senses, it won't be real faith. It won't be real faith. Because we're talking about accessing the invisible realm, not the visible realm. So we're not talking about accessing the stuff you can see and touch and taste. Hebrews 11:1.
That's a great point, real quick. I don't want to cut him off, but and the reason why I brought this up in the past with anxiety and panic, and you're having a panic attack, anxiety attack, we always say, check in with your five senses. Well, that's to help you in the moment to calm down. But if you stay in that type of realm, that type of fight, or basically that's what it is. You're staying in. You don't always want to do that. You know, the goal, the objective is to get to the point where you don't have to look to that, because you just trust, you have faith, but you just have a belief and a trust with God, but also with yourself. And so I think that applies also there with your spiritual life, your relationship with God, but with panic and anxiety as well. And so, yes, in the moments of it, we tell you, hey, check in with your five senses. What can I touch, taste, feel, smell, and hear? That helps to calm you down, to get you grounded, but also, the goal is to get to that point, to get out of the fight or flight phase. It's almost like what he said. Works unlocks faith. Faith unlocks grace. And so, similar to a panic attack, I mean, look into your five senses, your toolkit. The toolkit helps you to slow down and helps you to realize what's truth. We could say that's faith in a way, because you're starting to trust that, you know what, I'm fine. And then it leads to grace, where, like a panic attack, it's over with. And you realize, man, it didn't happen again. My worst fear didn't happen again. There's the grace. And so, that's a great point there, but also goes hand in hand also, I think, with anxiety, just in everyday life. And so let's finish this up. I'm going to go about to the 32-minute mark or so, maybe a little less. So let's just keep going.
Faith is the substance of things hoped for. It is the evidence of things not seen. If you can see it, it's not faith. Hebrews 11:1. Faith is the substance of things hoped for. It is the evidence of things not seen. If you can see it, it's not faith. If it's tangible and if it's moving in the physical realm, it's not the faith God is talking about. That's just human faith anybody can have. Anybody gonna believe something that they looking at? I believe you sitting there. How come? Because I see you. That's not what he's talking about. He's not talking about that. He's saying it's the evidence, it's the substance, so it's real. Even though it's in the spiritual realm, it's real, and it has evidence. It's provable, but it's not yet seen. The whole point of faith is to grab something out of the unseen realm and bring it down to the visible realm. So you never start with what you see to determine whether you have faith. That's called sight. It's a whole nother word. And because we don't live by faith, in other words, because that's not how we roll, that's not our flow, we don't see much grace. He says, in addition to all, above all things, take on the shield of faith. Why do I need the shield of faith? Faith. Acting like God is telling the truth. Acting like it is so even when it's not so, in order that it might be so simply because God said so. You go to the doctor because there's typically something wrong you can't fix. Because usually you started off with over-the-counter. You started off with human ability. You started off with your own mind could conjure up. You started off with what you could take care of yourself. So you went to the doctor and you went to the pharmacy. You went to Walgreens or some other pharmacy and you got some, something for your stomach, antacid, or you got something because you were going to do the best you can to make life better. But your best wasn't working. So you call the doctor. You tell the doctor, Doc, I've got a problem. My stomach hurts. The doctor's going to hear your call, but he's not going to take for granted your problem. He's not going to assume what you think is wrong is what's wrong. Now, you've talked about how you feel because you talked about the pain. But in his mind, there could be something else causing what you think is a stomach ache. So he's going to do a battery of tests to ascertain the truth about what's really wrong, creating the pain that you're now experiencing. Because all you know is the pain, you don't know what the real problem is yet until somebody who knows more than you assesses the situation, who can tell you what the truth is about what you feel. All you know is I feel a little something, but obviously I don't know enough because I couldn't fix it. So I'm going to you, Doc, for you to tell me what the real deal is. I need the truth. Why? Because until you get the truth, you can't fix the problem. See, as long as you're satisfied with antacids, and that's not your problem, then you're not dealing with the truth, although you think you're dealing with the truth. You're just dealing with limited knowledge. But the doctor has information you don't have.
Now, this is a great point here because I'm going to play another video on the outro, guys. And when we start talking about mental movies, I think this is a good point here. Like you said, what is we give an example about going to the doctor, but he also said there about what's your definition of truth. And for a lot of people, I would say, what's your initial response to things? How do you respond to things? What are your patterns? And remember that word later on, patterns. Remember that later on, patterns. What are your patterns? What are your initial responses? And so, a very key point there. But let's finish this up. We're going to go, where am I going? Oh, let's just keep going. Who cares?
He comes out and he says, oh, this is the problem, which was more than just a general upset stomach. He says, this is the problem. He pulls out a sheet of paper called a prescription, and he writes on it words you do not understand. In fact, if you can read his writing, he's not a real doctor. Because one of the ways you know a real doctor is a real doctor is he can't write. You have this piece of paper, and he says, take this for your real problem, because those antacids you were taking is not your real problem. Take this. Maybe he's discovered an ulcer. You take a piece of paper that you don't understand to a pharmacy. You give it to the pharmacist, whom you do not know. The pharmacist goes back there with a whole bevy of medicines and starts putting your stuff together. That man could be putting strychnine and giving it to you because you don't know. The only reason you're doing this is you know he's qualified. You know, he's got a qualification. You don't know it based on what you're seeing, because what you're seeing may not be what it really is. And you don't even understand the paper, so you can't even test what he's doing by what's written in the paper. You got to believe that what he is offering is what's on the paper. So you've taken the prescription, you've gone to the pharmacist, he's giving you the medicine. Now you've done all that, you still got an upset stomach. And the reason why you have an upset stomach is the reason it was written and the reason you went to the pharmacy wasn't to get it, read it, and deliver it. It was to get it, read it, deliver it, get it, and take it. Until you take it, you've not fulfilled obedience. And if you don't fulfill obedience, you're not going to get better. Because your way was solving the symptom, not solving the problem.
Hello. You know what? I need to rewind now. Let's hear that again.
And if you don't fulfill obedience, you're not going to get better. Because your way was solving the symptom, not solving the problem.
Man, you could say that again. I could rewind that all day. And I've talked about this with anxiety. This is everything in life, guys. Anything in life. Remember we talked about the root cause. We always focus on the symptoms. We don't focus on the root issue, the problem. And so, and a lot of this is because our society, remember this, we're taught to suppress. We're told to suppress. We're told to just focus on the symptoms and cope and try to learn to get by. And that mentality is almost like staying in a survival state all the time. And so when you stay in that survival state, that's where you stay. You don't ever really grow out of it. You almost stay attached to your fear. And so, very big point there. Let's finish up in a couple more minutes.
See, many of us, we come to church and we get the word and we say, well, I don't understand all that. I don't understand all that. I haven't studied Hebrew and Greek and Aramaic, and I don't fully understand all that, but I know the one who gave it knows what he's talking about because he's a pro, he's a doctor. If there is no acting on what's prescribed, there is no faith that has been exhibited. And if there is no faith that has been exhibited, stop complaining to the doctor, his stuff not working. We've got a lot of people complaining to God, your way doesn't work, and we haven't taken pill first. Well, we took one pill and there are 20 in the bottle. He said take one every 4 hours. We take one every 4 days and wonder why it's not working. Because we have not exhibited faith. Faith is not a feeling. Faith is not a discussion. Faith is an action taken based on the authorization of somebody who knows what he's talking about. Last time I checked, God knows what he's talking about. Why do you do this? So that you will be able to extinguish all the fiery darts of the evil one. He says the reason you do this, the reason why faith, that shield that you want to crouch behind, because it can handle anything thrown your way. All the fiery darts of the devil. Notice, not all the darts or arrows. The word dart means arrows. The Roman shield is made of wood, but it's wrapped in leather or some kind of animal skin. When they went out to war, they dipped it in water. They knew that people were going to throw spears at them and that they were going to shoot at them. And that some would dip their tip of their arrow in pitch and light it. That's why it calls fiery arrows. That's an arrow that's been set aflame. You remember cowboys and Indians in the movies or in television? And the wagon train would be going around, and then the Indians would attack the wagon train. Then the wagon train would get in a little circle. Then the cowboys would get behind the wagons and start shooting at the Indians. And the Indians, whoa, 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 whoa. They riding around and they shooting arrows at the cowboys. Well, now, it really wasn't a fair fight because, at least in the earlier days, the cowboys had all the guns and the Indians had all the arrows. Man, that's not a fair fight. But there would always be this one smart aleck Indian. He would dip the tip of an arrow into some pitch. He would light it. So now it's a fiery dart. It's an arrow that's been lit up. He then pulls back the bow and shoots. That arrow is not for a cowboy. That arrow is for the canvas of a wagon. Because he knows if he can burn down the canvas, he can expose the cowboy. And now once exposed, I don't need fiery arrows. I just need arrows. Fiery darts are meant to dismantle you so that now you become open for everything else he wants to shoot your way. He says the shield of faith is so strong that not only cannot arrows get your arrows that's been put on fire can't even burn you down. He says the shield of faith is staggering. Why? Because faith enters into the realm of grace and accesses God at a whole nother level. It accesses God. That's why 1 John 5:4 says we are overcomers by faith. In order to be an overcomer, there's got to be something to overcome. Maybe you're trying to overcome joblessness or finances or emotional fire of the mind or emotional depression, or maybe it's relational fires that you're going through, or maybe it's sin and temptation that has set you aflame. Whatever the fire happens to be, he says faith can put it out. Faith can put out the fire. But you've got to define faith God's way, not your way. Any weightlifter.
No, I'm going to stop it there. He makes a couple more examples on the point he's making. But, man, another powerful sermon from Dr. Tony Evans. Salute to him. Now everybody wonders, why do you play Dr. Tony Evans all the time? Let me pour more of my drink. By the way, I got my hair shades back now. He said put on the shield of faith. I said, let me put my shades back on. I don't see nothing. But no, on a real note, like I was saying, why do I play Dr. Tony Evans all the time? Because, I give a lot of strategy on this show about, the battle of the mind and certain tools to use. But in terms of anxiety, panic. But I think Tony is the best that I've seen. And I'm sure there's a lot of great preachers out there who do they're awesome. But Tony's the best that I've seen where you can access online. And there's just tons of sermons. I mean, I've probably played like 15 on this show alone, it seems like. Probably a little less, but you guys know what I mean. I played a lot of them on here. But the reason why is because Tony helps he shows you the strategy of how the enemy tries to attack you, but also how to counter it. Because this is the battle. It's a spiritual battle. That's what we're always going through. We're always going to go through the spiritual battle, especially now, everything going on nowadays. You better be ready. Because the devil and his people that he's working through here on this earth, they're going to be throwing the kitchen sink and more at all of us. And it's coming. It's slowly coming now. You've seen things happen in the last couple of years that we never thought we would see. And it happened. And so you just got to be ready. You got to be on guard. You got to prepare yourself for battle, for mind. How do you respond to things? But also working on yourself every day. I saw something earlier that says you should, from Dennis actually. And I might put out the thumbnail of this video, maybe not. But he posted earlier, the anxiety guy. It says, don't wait for a crisis to... Actually, let me pull up. I can't remember the exact words. I don't want to misquote them. Hold on 1 second. Don't wait for a crisis to start the change. Don't wait for a crisis to start the change process. There you go. And so, don't wait. Start now. Just start today. And so, because you never know. Anything can happen any day. And we can't control what people on the outside around us do. The only thing we can control is what you can do, what I can do. I can't make you do it. Mike Antonis, when he comes on, he can't make you do it. Tony Evans can't make you do it. The anxiety guy can't make you do it. You got to do it. And a lot of times, God's waiting on you. The works unlocks the faith unlocks the grace. And so, yeah, man, I mean, I'm giving you guys what I use in my own journey. It's not only the battle, it's a lot of it's mental, obviously, with anxiety and panic, what I've gone through, but also just tools and how to counter what's coming and what we go through in everyday life, and also making peace with the past. We do a lot on this show, but Tony Evans, the way he shows strategy and how to attack certain things, how to counter things through God. Dennis shows you how to use toolkits, how to understand your anxiety, the symptoms, making peace with your past, living they both kind of merge together. They're like hand in hand like this. And so, when you merge those together, you start doing both hand in hand, you slowly start to take off and you start to just, almost like on Zen mode. You sit back, chilling just like this. Just take a drink. With your shades on, not worry about a damn thing. And so, before I get out of here, I'm going to show you guys one more video. This video here, very similar. Remember I said when Tony was talking, I stopped it and I talked about the word patterns, right? So I had to go to my man Dennis, the anxiety guy, great guy. Again, these videos are fair use, although he said it's fine. So YouTube, fair use. But for both videos. But this video here, let me see if I can pull it up, really talks about the patterns, but also the mental imagery, your response to things. And so we're going to get out of here with this today, guys. If I could pull it up. Where am I at? Okay, cool. So I'm going to play this video. It's called Use This Against Your Anxiety Today. It's a 4-minute video, real fast. Before we get out of here, watch this video. Go subscribe to Dennis. Go subscribe to Tony Evans' channel. But this video right here, and write this video down or screenshot this right now. Go check it out because this is a video. It's good too. It's a 4-minute clip. So if you're ever going through a day, you're having a bad day or something, it's a good reminder every day to turn this video on every day. It's you know what I mean? It's like mental repetition. And so let's get to the video.
My friend, there are two powerful words that I want to present to you here today. These words have the power to change everything. What are those words? The two words are pattern recognition. Pattern recognition. Yeah, Dennis, pattern recognition, because you can't change anything until you first become conscious over what it is you want to change. My friends, a lot of different people will say many different things when it comes to anxiety. But at the root of it all, anxiety disorders are nothing more than patterns that we run on a daily basis that we're not aware of. Patterns that are run from the subconscious perspective and the conscious perspective. Now, starting today, your job is to recognize your own patterns more often. Now, what kind of patterns are we talking about here? Well, here's a pattern for you. See if you do this. The moment you wake up in the morning, you check in to see if your symptoms are still there. Bodily symptoms. Do I still have that pain? Do I still have that disturbance in my physical body? And what's the quickest way for me to distract myself from these symptoms? So you go to your phone in the morning. Now, you are recognizing a pattern that has to change, okay? Or you're driving to work and all of a sudden you get this catastrophic thought every single time you drive by the emergency room or the hospital because you spent time there in the past because of panic attacks and health anxiety. Okay, I recognized a pattern. This is an unconscious pattern that I want to change. Just by recognizing that the feeling is brought on by you driving by the hospital in itself will provide you with the insights that you need to change this pattern. Remember, when you're recognizing your pattern, that's just half the battle. You have to do something that changes that pattern into something else, something that's beneficial for you. And in order to find out what that is, all you have to do is listen to your own intuition. You know, I used to wake up and go to my phone every single morning. And then I started to change everything. I went to my mirror instead and I said, "Hey, good looking. How are you this morning? Boy, do I love myself. You know what, inner child? You are forgiven for all the mistakes that you made from the past." And I started to talk to myself. I started to love every single part of my body. I changed the original pattern into something else because it felt right to do. My friends, begin recognizing your patterns today. Start changing them, and I promise you will become more than anxiety. I love you. I'll see you in the next video.
Woo! Shout out to Dennis. Another great video. Uh, yeah, man. I mean, focus on your patterns. And I like what he said there, Daniel. That's how I be. That's how I want to be sometimes. You put my shades on, look in the mirror, be like, you know what? Looking damn good today. No, I'm just playing with you guys. but, uh, but having that self confidence, having that pattern, knowing I can handle this, I got this today. And something I try to focus on recently is uh, people have reminded me of too, which is a good reminder is, all the times you were in those situations, God got you through. But, a lot of times I think what I'm saying is when the panic and anxiety, you feel like you're alone in situations. You feel like, how am I going to get out? You feel like you need somebody there. When you focus with God and through God, He shows you have the power within you through Him that you always get through it. You got through that situation. Those times I had panic attacks, I was the one that stopped it. And I always got through on my own through God. And so I can handle anything. Now we have moments we always need people to lean on, but it all starts with you. And so, today was a great reminder for me, myself, what I'm going through, and whatever you guys are going through. But you know what, man? It's a great day outside. It's beautiful weather. God is good. Let's just stay in the moment. I'm not going to worry about next week. Today's Friday. I'm going to stay focused right up today, this weekend. Have a good Father's Day Sunday. Happy Father's Day out there to all the fathers out there. Salute to you guys. Happy Father's Day. Hope you guys have a great day. And just enjoy life, man. It's never as bad as you make it out to be, but it's having these tools, the mental imagery, the faith, works unlocks faith. Faith unlocks grace. And so, great reminders today, great tools. And I already got my shades and my cap on. I'm about to go hop on this bike in this nice weather, turn on my tunes. And yeah, man, go enjoy this nice weather, this beautiful day today. Salute to all you guys for joining and watching this today. Please like, subscribe, share, and leave a comment below if there's something that you want to leave a comment on. I'd love to hear back from you guys. And so, yeah, man, that's all I got for you guys today. I'm about to go knock my damn stuff off the mic. Oh, man. There we go. Now we're back in action. So, anyways, I'll see you guys in the next one. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, and I'm out of here. About to go hop on this bike. Enjoy this nice weather. I'm out. I'll see you guys later the next one. I'm out of here. Go.